Hi, my name is Zoe Caldwell. I'm one of the research consultants for the Los Angeles area and Hawaii for a few law firms and a few law schools. We are going to talk about Lexis Plus today. This is your Lexis Plus screen, and we are on your legal research part of the experience doc. We call these tabs off to the side here part of the experience doc, and this is where you can shift to other databases that are coming to you through Lexis Plus. Now, if you're not a fan of the blue background and you want something lighter, you can switch that option now. And if you want to change more of your settings, those options are located under the three dots, and you'll have your settings here. While we're here, I want you to know this is where you'll find alerts. If you've set up any alerts, you can find those here, and notifications telling you that you might have a new alert popping up. You'll have options for live chat support and changing your sign-in profile, and of course, the mighty sign out button. So let's get started. The question asking us today is, what would you like to research? I like to start broad when I run my first search, but I can always enter in more terms. Just type in and add in more terms located here, and we'll just run the search on lease agreement. Now on Lexis, your databases will populate off to the left-hand side. You'll see cases, statutes and legislation, practice notes and articles, and annotated templates and checklists. These are your practical guidance resources coming to you right from your legal research database. So we're actually pulling from another area on the experience doc and pulling those resources right into your search here so you've got them. If you want to look at actual lease agreements that people have created, they will be located here, and checklists to follow if this is a big task that you're working on. Practice notes are written by other attorneys. They're similar in nature to secondary sources in that they give you background information on the law, but they're written by some of the best attorneys in the field that have been doing this a long time, and they're very practical to what an attorney needs who's working on a lease agreement project at that time. But then, of course, you'll have our standard secondary materials located here, administrative materials, those are your agencies, briefs, pleadings, and motions. These are real briefs, pleadings, and motions filed with the court, so you can take a look at other briefs and pleadings that have your terms in them. Administrative codes, so your CFRs and state regulations. Sample forms are located here, but I encourage you once again to use these two databases first. We're going to actually have more forms located here than these that are coming to you right from Lexis research system. You have a subscription that allows you to have practice notes and templates. So you're not only getting all the forms that are located here, but so much more. So that's why this is a better option for you, because your subscription is already bigger and you have more resources and you're able to look at them here. If I scroll past this, you'll see some news databases, jury verdicts and settlements, jury instructions, and then, of course, you'll see company and financial information here. This is where if you typed in a company's name in your search bar and you ran a search on a particular company or type of company, then we'll get records for those. Let's take a look at our secondary material first, and we'll come back to case law in just a moment. So secondary materials are populating. I really like the option to be able to narrow down by my content type, so I do that first. I usually go to treatises and guides, and jurisdiction obviously allows me to pull treatises from the state of California. So now I'm looking at state-specific treatises, and when I come down to sources, now I'm actually seeing the different types of resources that are populating in my results set. So my results are here, and when I look at my sources, I can see, oh wow, I'm actually getting materials from California real estate law and practice. I want to take a look at those first before I look at anything else. If I found this too narrowing, I can always X out and choose a different one or choose multiples at once. Okay, coming back up to the search bar, we'll take a look at statutes now. Obviously, it's a good idea to narrow by jurisdiction, so I can come down to California and look at the California statutes having to do with the terms that I typed in. Under statutes, note that it's also bills. So if I come to content type, I can say, okay, I really just want codes from the state of California that have to do with lease agreements. I'm just going to open up the first statute that pops up so we can take a look at what the orientation of the screen looks like for statutes on Lexis. We will have, of course, the text of the statute up top and notes towards the bottom. So I can search different terms by jumping around this way that I typed in. I could get back to my results using this button. And of course, I could enter in my own terms here and search the report that way. If I want to use my code compare, this allows me to compare this version to an earlier version. So if I know that I wanted to look at this statute and how it was written in 2015, I would use this code compare version, type in 2015, and it will bring up the two codes side by side. Please also remember that you can shepherdize statutes. Everyone always forgets. It's a nice way to pull all the research together that has citing documents that cite that particular code section. So it's a great way when you're in California law to find California cases. It works in federal law as well, but you just usually have a lot more cases in your Shepherd's document to deal with. So coming back to the main screen again, we are going to now spend some time in your case database. And we're looking at our case results now for lease agreement. What I like to narrow by, of course, is my court. So we'll put this in again and I'll say California. I could narrow by my date using timeline, and I can narrow by publication status. So if I want to get rid of unpublished cases, I can do that here. But what I usually do is narrow by my jurisdiction when I'm in case law, and I use search within results. So this is where I might put in something like this. Termination within 10 words of option. And if you remember, if I want to get terminate, terminated, termination, I can use the exclamation point and that will get any ending. So terminate within 10 words of option. Lexis actually knows a lot of your derivatives from a word, so you don't always need to put in your root expander, but it's there to feel more comfortable if you want to use it. So now we've narrowed to terminate within 10 of option. We're in California case law and my results are populating here in the middle of the page. You'll see these colors. They have to do with the terms that I typed in. So if I want to find out where option to terminate is listed, I can actually click on these colors right now and jump to where those terms are. So it's a fast way for me to get through my site list really easily, because I'm looking at where the terms are, and I can determine if that's something I want to take a look at further by opening up that passage, or if just scroll on to the next case. So use your colors to help jump around. Also, I'm going to show you your Ravel view. It's another time-saving feature. You're here on your graphical view, but if we switch to Ravel view, you will see the top 75 cases populating in this heat map. Now, this is a map that tells you what the more influential cases are for the terms you typed in. So for the terms I typed in, I can see this case is more influential because it's giving me a bigger bubble. And if you look to where it says how to use, when I hover my mouse over the bigger bubble cases, it'll start to name those cases, and I can click them to come on into that case. So I usually jump to my Ravel view, which is located here. As soon as I come to case law, once I've narrowed the way that I want my filter set for jurisdiction and any extra terms, I come here to make sure I don't miss any of these bigger bubbled cases. These are cases that other cases are relying on for the issues you typed in, so I want to make sure that I don't miss those when I'm doing my search results. I clicked on the bigger case, and I'm going to come on in now, and we're looking at the Kendall case. Now, I can scroll down and I'll show you the pieces of a case that I really spend the most time on when I'm in Lexis. My case summary is located here. Obviously, that's summarizing what's going on in the case. You'll have your head notes below that, and you'll even get a little piece of Shepherd's talking to you. So you know that there are 5 cases out there. Now, if I want to look at these in a Shepherd's report, I can go right to a narrowed Shepherd's report, pulling only those 7 cases that are citing this particular legal principle. If I want my full Shepherd's report, notice that it's off to the side here. I do have a warning, so that's something that I might want to check out. I also have a questioned. These are 2 things that I definitely want to spend time taking a look at because it's a little more negative treatment. The why is there to always tell me a little bit more if I were to click it. Of course, I can come on out and read more about that here. Okay. Another fun feature available to you on Lexis, and only on Lexis, is down on the page here, you will have the legal issue trail. Now, the legal issue trail, you'll see one of my favorites. It's right here, and I'm going to activate my passages. Now, you'll see this box is in text, in my opinion. So I'm actually getting these cool purple boxes showing me where other cases are citing my case. So all I need to do now is find those passages most important to me that are citing the content that I need, and I can actually click inside that box that's helpful and pull up a list of all the cases that are citing my case for that issue. Okay, we're going to go back up to the top of the screen. I'm going to go back to Lexis Plus, and we're going to take a look at practical guidance now. Now remember, I already had practical guidance resources populating when I typed in lease agreement. They were coming to me through legal research, but I can come here. What task would you like to accomplish today? And I can say, okay, I'm working on an issue of acquisition finance, and run the search. So the search bar is there for me to type in a search, and Lexis will search it across all practical guidance that we have available and bring back practice notes and templates that have to do with acquisition finance. Now, this may be something that I want to narrow by jurisdiction again, so I can do that and say, please just bring me back the California materials that I need. And I'm looking at different resources that have to do with California law or acquisition finance. Now, this looks pretty on point, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Resource kits are wonderful when you see them populate because it's everything you need coming to you from practical guidance on all things having to do with an acquisition loan. So real estate kit does. It gives you everything that we have, including all these different forms and notices that have to do with your particular topic. So we're pulling together all kinds of checklists and things that have anything at all to do with commercial real estate loan acquisition. Let's go into one of these practice notes so you can take a look. Again, these are written by attorneys. It's just like having an attorney sitting next to you and saying, okay, if you're going to deal with a real estate acquisition, you need to think about the environmental issues. And so you come on in and it will tell you more about that. Off to the side, you will always see more related content. So this is where I can come in and say, okay, yeah, please tell me more about the codes and regulations that have to do with the environmental due diligence, or show me more practice notes that are similar. I'm working on this, but I want to see what other types of things I need to think about. I use the search bar, but we can always come down under practice area and come down to real estate this way. We're also organized by these tasks. So if you don't want to use the search bar and you just want to come in by task and say, okay, I'm working on a joint venture, I'd really like to see a joint venture agreement, we can come in that way as well. It really takes getting used to this database. The more you use it, the easier it will be and the more types of things you'll expect to be found here. Now, off to the side, you'll also see in your experience doc, we have litigation analytics. This is a place for you to look up judges, courts, and other attorneys and law firms to get analytics on those judges, courts, attorneys, and law firms. So if you're trying to see your opposing counsel, you want to learn a little bit more about an attorney or a law firm, this is a great place to come to do that. Below that, you have brief analysis. This option is for when you're working on a particular brief or some sort of legal document of any kind. You can drag and drop your document into this box, and we'll do it now. Once I upload it, you'll see that it's scanning my document for all the cases and the citations, sections, and it's analyzing to see what else is on Lexis that it might be able to recommend to you. So you can either pull up a full brief that you've just written or put your brief in piece by piece as you're writing it. Just know that Lexis is going off of what you already have in the document. So the more information in your document that it has regarding citations and legal jargon, the more responsive it can be in this landing page. Okay, it's recommending 54 cases to me based on the passages that I had in my text. I can just scroll down and Lexis is highlighting in blue. Okay, you put this passage in. We've got 2 cases you might want to think about. This is something you can also do when you have an opponent's brief in front of you. You can run their brief through brief analysis and see what other cases populate. Maybe they skipped a particular case in their reasoning and you want to know why. Perhaps that case is more helpful to you. So we can use this same feature on somebody else's brief as well. Okay, back on the main screen again to show you a newly added piece to the experience doc, and that's your legal news hub. So this is where you can come for all things regarding legal news, like a Yahoo page of news stories. Okay, up at the top of the page is where you're going to find resources for context. Now, context is another way that you can look at judges, expert witnesses. We can search a particular judge and find out the different cases that that judge likes to rely on. We can find out how often he grants or denies motions on particular subjects. We can do the same thing for expert witnesses and find out how many times they've been challenged and what their challenge rate is. So just type in who you're looking for and you'll see the different content populating. I'm here to help you. It comes time for you to use this database. Please reach out to me anytime you need me. I'm here for you at zoe.caldwell@lexisnexis.com or ask your librarian on how to get in touch with me. Thank you.